Welcome. You've chosen this audiobook because, deep down, you already sense something important. Life is not a burden to carry. It's an experience to embrace. It's meant to be lived fully, consciously, and with quiet satisfaction. Yet somewhere along the way, that truth got buried. The noise of modern living has made simplicity feel complicated, and we rarely stop to ask, am I actually living well? This audiobook is your invitation to step out of that fog, not into perfection or fantasy, but into something more grounded, more sustainable, what I call a quality life. And what does that mean? A quality life isn't about squeezing the most out of every minute, hacking every habit, or controlling the uncontrollable. Instead, it's built on small, deliberate shifts that ripple outward into every corner of your days. Here's the good news. You don't need 100 new rules. You just need 9 simple things, 9 practices that anyone, at any stage, can use to transform the way they live. These aren't tricks or lofty theories. They're time-tested actions and mindsets that the happiest, most fulfilled people share. When practiced with intention, they help you create a life that feels lighter, clearer, and richer. Each step you'll hear includes not just an explanation, but a practical way to apply it. Simple enough to start today, powerful enough to change tomorrow. So, if you're ready to step off the treadmill of more and into the grounded strength of enough, let's begin. Perfection is a ghost. You can see it, but you will never touch it. It moves just out of reach, shifting the moment you come close. And yet, men waste their lives chasing it, giving away their energy, their peace, and their joy for something that never was, never is, and never will be. From the time you are young, the world tells you the same story. Be flawless, be untouchable, be the absolute best. Work until you have the perfect body, the perfect job, the perfect partner, the perfect life. And when you fall short, and you will always fall short, you're told it's because you didn't grind hard enough, you didn't sacrifice enough, you didn't want it badly enough. But the truth is simpler and darker. You could give everything, your time, your health, your spirit, and still never hold perfection, because perfection was never meant to be held. It was built as bait. It is the dangling carrot that keeps men running on the wheel, exhausted, drained, but convinced that just one more sprint will finally get them there. Look around, and you'll see how the trap is set. Social media, advertising, celebrity culture, all of it engineered to make you believe you are behind. You scroll through images of sculpted men, flawless women, families staged in curated harmony, entrepreneurs stacking wealth in towers that gleam like fortresses. But you don't see the filters hiding exhaustion. You don't see the broken marriages behind the vacation photos. You don't see the debt behind the luxury cars. You don't see the emptiness behind the perfect smiles. You see only the illusion, and in the illusion, you see your own lack. Perfection sells because it wounds. It makes you doubt. It makes you restless. It makes you believe that what you have is not enough, that who you are is not enough, and so you grind harder, stretch yourself thinner, claw at a finish line that keeps moving, but you never arrive, and you never will. The cost of chasing 10 out of 10 is not small. It eats time first. Hours, days, years vanish into endless polishing, into constant tweaking, into obsessive correcting of things that were already good enough. Then it eats peace. Victories feel hollow because your eye moves immediately to what's missing. Finally, it eats joy. Life becomes less about living and more about optimizing, less about connection and more about comparison, less about being and more about performing. Ask yourself how many nights you've traded for just one more hour of work. How many chances you've ignored because the timing wasn't perfect. How many times you refused to rest because you feared someone else was working harder than you. This is the perfection trap. You give and give and give until nothing is left. And here is the cruelest part, the illusion of more. No one tells you that going from 4 out of 10 to 8 out of 10 is where transformation lives. When you move from neglecting your health to caring for it, life changes. When you move from debt to stability, you breathe differently. When you move from isolation to one or two real relationships, the world feels lighter. That climb, out of weakness into strength, out of chaos into stability, out of fragility into resilience, that is where life becomes worth living. But men don't stop there because the world whispers, 8 out of 10 is not enough. Push harder, grind more, don't stop until you hit 10. So they try. They burn years, sacrifice peace, and shatter balance in pursuit of the perfect 10. But here is the truth. That final climb costs more than it gives. Going from 8 to 10 doesn't double your peace. It steals it. It doesn't deepen your love. It strangles it. It doesn't free you. It chains you tighter. The pursuit of 10 is not the pursuit of mastery. It is the pursuit of applause. And applause never lasts. One day the clapping stops, and what remains is a man with nothing left to give, staring at a life that could have been good, but was ruined by the lie that it wasn't enough. Look at the men around you and you'll see mirrors of this trap. The man who obsesses over his body, rising at dawn, counting every calorie, never missing a workout. He looks like a model of discipline, but his worth is chained to his reflection. His peace disappears the moment he misses a session or sees a man leaner than him. Then there is the man who obsesses over money. He makes 6 figures, then 7. He buys the house, the car, the watch. But every milestone turns to ash because someone else always has more. He doesn't rest. He doesn't breathe. He doesn't stop. And then there is the man who obsesses over status. He needs to be respected, admired, noticed. He wears confidence like armor, but it is fragile. The moment someone else shines, he feels small. Different obsessions, same outcome. Perfection wears many masks, but it always leads to the same prison. What if you let go of 10? What if you decided that 8 was enough? Imagine it, a body that is strong and capable, not flawless. Finances that are stable and freeing, not ostentatious. A relationship that is honest and imperfect, not staged for strangers to admire. A life that is balanced, not extreme. That is not mediocrity. That is mastery. The man who accepts 8 is not weak. He is free, because he knows what matters and he knows when to stop. Strength is not in chasing everything. Strength is in cutting what doesn't serve you. Freedom is not in having it all. Freedom is in needing less. The man who lives at 8 lives steady. He sleeps well. He laughs without performance. He builds quietly, without the need to prove himself to a world that was never watching anyway. Rejecting perfection takes courage. It means walking away from applause. It means refusing to play a game designed for you to lose. Men will mock you. They will call you lazy, unambitious, average. They will say you've settled. But who is truly free? The man who spends his days chasing approval, or the man who builds a life of peace, discipline, and quiet satisfaction? The world thrives on your insecurity. Break that chain, and you become untouchable. Ask yourself, do you want to look perfect in the mirror, or do you want to look in the mirror without shame? Do you want endless applause, or do you want 1 or 2 voices you can trust? Do you want to look rich, or do you want to sleep at night with no debt pressing against your chest? A man chasing perfection is like a starving wolf chasing the horizon, always moving, never arriving. A man who chooses 8 accepts the ground beneath his feet. He plants roots. He grows strong. He does not need the horizon to be free. Perfection is a prison disguised as ambition. 8 out of 10 is the key. Cut the noise, cut the weakness, cut the delay. Live at 8. Live free. A man's life is a structure. Some call it a house, some call it a fortress, but the truth is simpler. It is a framework held up by pillars, and no matter how strong one pillar is, if the others collapse, the whole structure falls with it. Men love to hide inside one pillar. They pour everything into one domain and ignore the rest, thinking strength in a single area will cover weakness in the others. But it never works. A man who has wealth but no health is a man who dies with riches stacked around a broken body. A man who has status but no purpose is a man applauded in public and hollow in private. A man who has relationships but no discipline is a man who drains those who love him until they leave him standing alone. You cannot build on one, you must build on 5. The first pillar is purpose. Without it, a man drifts. Purpose is not a job title or a dream career. It is not something you post in a biography. Purpose is direction. It is the quiet conviction that says, I am walking here, and I will not be moved. Most men confuse purpose with passion. Passion comes and goes. Purpose endures. Passion is a flame, bright but temporary. Purpose is the fire that smolders, steady and relentless. Without it, every obstacle will break you. With it, every obstacle becomes weight training. The second pillar is relationships. No man survives alone, not forever. Solitude sharpens you, but isolation weakens you. 1 or 2 people who truly stand with you are worth more than 1,000 acquaintances. Men often make the mistake of surrounding themselves with noise, friends who pull them down, partners who drain them, communities built on gossip and distraction. Then they wonder why they feel heavy, why they lose momentum, why they collapse under pressure. The truth is simple. If you walk with men who are lost, you will be lost. But if you stand with even one who sharpens you, who speaks truth when you drift, who lifts when you falter, then you are not easily broken. The third pillar is health. Your body is not decoration, it is your foundation. Without sleep, without movement, without discipline in what you eat and drink, every other pillar shakes. You can be rich, you can be respected, you can be admired, but if your health rots, you will watch it all slip through your fingers. Strength is not about vanity. It is about readiness. A man who can run when he must, fight when he must, endure when he must, he is free. A man who cannot move without pain, who cannot breathe without strain, who cannot stand without fatigue, he is in chains. No achievement can rescue him from his own neglect. The fourth pillar is finances. Money itself is not power, but poverty is chains. A man without control over his finances cannot control his life. Every decision becomes desperate, every move reactive. He cannot breathe, he cannot think, he cannot rest. He is owned. And yet the goal is not endless wealth. Endless wealth is another form of slavery. Slavery to greed, to comparison, to a finish line that never comes. The goal is freedom, enough to cover what you need, enough to shield yourself from storms, enough to protect those you care for. That number will not impress anyone else, but it doesn't have to. It has to free you. The fifth pillar is environment. Most men ignore it, yet it shapes them more than they realize. Your surroundings either sharpen you or they weaken you. If you live in chaos, you wake in chaos. If you live in noise, your mind fills with noise. A man who builds a sanctuary, a space of order, of quiet, of clarity, arms himself every day before he steps into the storm. And beyond the walls, nature itself becomes a sanctuary. A walk through silence, a breath of fresh air, the grounding of soil beneath your feet. These are not luxuries, they are weapons. Your environment is either your ally or your enemy. Choose carefully. Most men chase perfection in one pillar and ignore the others. The gym rat with no money, the rich man with no health, the social man with no direction, the disciplined man with no relationships. They shine in one corner and rot in the rest. And when the weight comes, as it always does, they collapse. Because strength is not specialization. Strength is balance. Balance matters more than excellence. A man who is steady across all 5 pillars is unshakable. A man who is extreme in one but empty in the rest is fragile. The storm does not ask which pillar you prefer. It strikes them all. And only the man who has built balance can endure. Think about your own life. Where are you steady? Where are you cracked? Where are you collapsing? Be honest. Most men lie to themselves. They convince themselves that success in one domain excuses weakness in another. But life doesn't forgive imbalance. Life punishes it. Your health will not care about your wealth. Your relationships will not care about your muscles. Your environment will not care about your purpose. Every pillar demands attention. Ignore one, and the others strain. Ignore two, and the others crumble. Ignore three, and the house falls. This is not about chasing 10 out of 10 in each. That is the perfection trap again, wearing new clothes. This is about building each pillar to 8, not flawless, not extreme, strong enough to endure, stable enough to hold, balanced enough to last. Picture a man who accepts this. His purpose is clear. He knows where he is going. His relationships are few but strong. Men who sharpen him, women who respect him, voices that strengthen rather than weaken. His health is steady. He rests. He moves. He fuels his body, not perfectly, but consistently. His finances are balanced. He earns enough to breathe freely. He avoids the trap of debt. He is not enslaved by greed. His environment is calm. His home is not a palace, but it is ordered. It is quiet. It is his. This man is not flawless, but he is free. He is not perfect, but he is strong. And when storms come, he does not break. Compare him to the man who chases perfection in one pillar while ignoring the rest. The bodybuilder who collapses when his finances crumble, the rich man who cannot walk up a flight of stairs without gasping, the social man with no anchor who drowns the moment he is alone. They shine for a season, but when the test comes, they fall. Do not be that man. Do not chase 10 in one and 0 in the rest. Build steadily, build quietly, build all 5, because balance is not weakness. Balance is the highest form of strength. And when you live this way, when your pillars are steady, you stop needing to prove yourself. You stop living for applause. You stop comparing. You become a man who lives for himself, for his purpose, for his peace. And no storm can take that from you. Purpose is the compass of a man's life. Without it, he drifts. He may move fast. He may even look busy, but he is directionless. He is a ship without a North Star, carried wherever the winds of distraction blow. Every man who has lived without purpose knows this emptiness. The mornings where you wake and feel nothing pulling you forward. The weeks that pass where you grind, but the grind feels hollow. The years where you look back and realize you moved, but you did not advance. Finding your why is not about slogans. It is not about repeating motivational mantras or writing down some clever phrase on a whiteboard. Your why is not performance. It is weight. It is gravity. It pulls you forward whether you feel like moving or not. It anchors you when storms come. It keeps you standing when everything else collapses. The mistake most men make is chasing borrowed purpose. They look at someone else's life and decide that is what they want. They see a man with wealth and say, that must be it. They see a man with followers and say, that must be it. They see a man who built a business, who runs marathons, who travels the world, and they say, maybe that is my path too. But it is not, because purpose cannot be copied. What pulls another man forward may not move you at all. Purpose is not glamorous. Most of the time, it is not even visible to others. The man whose purpose is to raise his children with strength will never trend online. The man whose purpose is to master his craft quietly may never be known by name. But these men live with more fire in their chest than those who borrow their purpose from a screen. You find your why not by asking what will impress the world, but by asking what keeps you steady when the world is silent. Think of the moments where time disappears, where the work feels heavy but right, where the pain feels worth it. Think of the times where you said no to comfort, not because anyone was watching, but because something inside you said, this matters. That is where you find your why. Men often avoid this search because it requires honesty. It is easier to distract yourself with endless goals than to sit in silence and ask, what is my life for? But without that question, you are not living. You are reacting. You are drifting. You are moving in circles. The man without a why is vulnerable to every distraction. He wastes years chasing money he doesn't need, status he doesn't enjoy, bodies he doesn't love, applause he doesn't care about, and when he gets it, he feels nothing. Because the hunger was never for those things, it was for direction. But the man with a why is dangerous. He does not waste time. He does not chase every shiny distraction. He says no more than he says yes. He cuts away noise like a blade through vines. He walks slower, but farther. He seems calm, but he is relentless. Your why does not have to be grand. It has to be true. It may be building a family that is stronger than the one you came from. It may be creating work that outlives you. It may be mastering your craft until no one can question your discipline. It may be something smaller, something quieter, something only you understand. But when you have it, you cannot be moved. Ask yourself this: if no one ever saw what you built, if no one ever applauded, if no one ever knew, would you still choose it? If the answer is yes, then you are close to your why. Because real purpose is not about display, it is about endurance. There will be days when your why feels distant, when fatigue clouds your vision, when pain makes you question everything. That is when men without purpose quit. But men with purpose do not stop. They may rest, they may stumble, but they do not quit. Because quitting would mean betraying the only thing that gives weight to, their existence. And here is the paradox: your why does not always make life easier. In fact, it often makes life harder, but it makes life bearable. A man without purpose cannot endure hardship. He collapses because there is nothing beyond the pain. A man with purpose can endure storms because the storm is not the end. It is simply part of the road. You do not need to have all the answers today. You do not need to see 20 years ahead. You need only to know what pulls you forward now. Purpose evolves. It sharpens as you move. But without even the beginning of a why, you stand still. Stop asking what looks impressive. Stop asking what will earn approval. Ask instead, what will I suffer for? Because that is the truest test of purpose. Pleasure is cheap. Pain reveals what you value. If you are willing to suffer for it, it is yours. And once you know, protect it. Guard it like a fire in the wind. Do not waste it on empty noise. Do not trade it for shallow applause. Do not let others tell you it is too small, too quiet, too unimpressive. It is yours, and it is enough. Most men never find their why because they never slow down long enough to listen. They drown in distraction. They confuse movement for meaning. They die busy, but empty. Do not be one of them. Sit in silence. Cut away the noise. Ask the questions that scare you. And when you hear the answer, follow it, even if no one understands, even if no one approves. Because the man who has a why to live for becomes untouchable. His time cannot be stolen. His energy cannot be wasted. His life cannot be controlled by distraction or fear. He is free, not because the road is easy, but because the road is his. Your why will not save you from pain, but it will give your pain meaning. And a man with meaningful pain can endure anything. A man can survive in solitude, but he cannot thrive in isolation. The strongest men in history lived with discipline, with silence, with inner fire. But they were not alone. They chose their circle carefully. They cut out weakness without apology. They built bonds that carried them through storms. The truth is simple. You do not need dozens of friends. You do not need a crowd. You do not need the approval of the many. What you need is a handful of men and women who stand firm beside you, who sharpen you, who call you out when you are slipping, who lift you when you are heavy. One or two allies can change the entire shape of your life. But the wrong people will destroy it. Most men stay stuck because they do not cut the wrong connections. They cling to the familiar, even when the familiar poisons them. They stay loyal to weakness, even when weakness drains them. They mistake history for loyalty, thinking years of knowing someone means years of keeping them. But time means nothing if the bond is rotten. Look at the men around you. Do they pull you forward or do they pull you back? Do they stand strong in silence, or do they chatter with excuses? Do they want you disciplined, or do they want you comfortable? Every man becomes like the company he keeps. This is not opinion, it is law. Sit with lazy men long enough, and your fire dies. Sit with bitter men long enough, and your vision clouds. Sit with men who numb themselves with distraction, and your purpose will fade with theirs. Cutting people is brutal. It feels like loss. But it is necessary. Dead branches steal life from the tree. Weak bonds steal strength from the man. You do not need to hate them. You do not need to fight them. But you must step away. Not in noise, not in drama. This is worth more than 1,000 drinking buddies. A single mentor who has walked the road is worth more than 10 peers who talk about walking it. A single woman who respects your mission is worth more than a crowd of flattery. Support is not about comfort. True support will not always feel good. Sometimes it is the voice that tells you to stop lying to yourself. Sometimes it is the hand that pulls you up when you would rather stay down. Sometimes it is the silence of someone who does not rescue you but lets you carry your own weight because they know it will make you stronger. Men without strong connections break easier. They face storms alone and collapse because no one stands beside them. They rise for a season, but when fatigue comes, they fall because no one pushes them forward. Discipline is personal, yes. But discipline is fragile when it is never sharpened by others. If you want strength, choose your circle with the same seriousness you choose your mission. Do not fill it with comfort, fill it with fire. Men who live by principle, men who endure silence, men who do not flinch at truth. A brotherhood like this makes you sharper, harder, steadier. But know this, before you demand good connections, you must be one. Do not ask for loyalty if you cannot give it. Do not ask for honesty if you lie. Do not ask for support if you vanish when others need you. A weak man cannot hold strong bonds. You must become the kind of man worth standing beside. Then, the right people will come. There is no shortcut. Building real connections takes time, trust, testing. Many will fail. Many will reveal their weakness when storms come, but a few will remain. And those few are priceless. A man without community is vulnerable to despair. In silence, his thoughts eat him alive. In struggle, his weight feels impossible. But a man with even one strong connection can carry more than he thought possible. Because when he stumbles, he is not alone. The world tells you to chase networks, to chase attention, to collect shallow contacts. That is noise. That is distraction. You do not need many. You need few. You need real. So look at your life now. Who needs to be cut? Who needs to be brought closer? Who deserves your loyalty and who only drains it? This decision shapes your future as much as your purpose does, because even the strongest man bends when surrounded by weakness, and even the struggling man can rise when surrounded by strength. Choose carefully, cut brutally, build patiently, and when you have found your circle, guard it with your life, because a man's fire may be his own, but it is the circle that keeps it burning when the night grows cold. Your body is not decoration. It is not for display. It is not for likes or approval. It is your foundation. Every thought you think, every action you take, every dream you chase depends on it. Without a strong foundation, the house collapses. Without a body that endures, the man cannot stand. You can have vision, discipline, purpose, even fire in your chest. But if your body is weak, if your body is neglected, it will betray you. Men often treat their body as an afterthought, a tool to be used recklessly. They push it without rest, abuse it with poison, ignore its needs. They believe strength is in willpower alone. They believe they can run on fumes forever. But the body always collects its debt. Sooner or later, it breaks. And when it does, the man realizes too late. All discipline, all ambition, all purpose becomes worthless if the body cannot carry it. There are no shortcuts here. No man can outsource his foundation. You cannot buy it. You cannot borrow it. You cannot fake it. You must build it, brick by brick, through daily choices so simple they seem almost too small to matter, but they matter more than anything. Start with sleep. A man who does not rest is a man who dies in pieces. You may think you are sharp when you burn the midnight oil, but slowly, silently, your edge dulls. Your patience fades, your discipline cracks, your mind clouds. 6 hours minimum is not luxury, it is survival. And it is not weakness to rest, it is strength. A man who honors his rest is a man who can endure longer than those who boast about how little they sleep. Do not glorify exhaustion, glorify endurance. Sleep is the foundation of endurance. Then comes movement. Your body is not built to sit still, it rots in stillness. 30 minutes a day is enough to keep the fire alive, not to impress, not to post, not to boast. To keep your blood moving, your muscles alive, your spirit sharp. You do not need to become an athlete. You do not need to chase personal records. You need to move daily, consistently, relentlessly. Walk, lift, push, carry, sweat. Movement is not about building a perfect body. It is about building a durable one. Food is fuel, not escape. Many men eat like addicts, numbing themselves with sugar, with grease, with poison wrapped in shiny packaging. They eat not because they are hungry, but because they are restless. And then they wonder why their body drags, why their mind fogs, why their spirit feels heavy. Eat clean, eat simple, eat like a man who respects himself. Meat, vegetables, water. Real food, not engineered distraction. Discipline in food is not punishment, it is clarity. It is respect for the engine that carries you. And then, the mind. Because the body is not only muscle and bone. The body carries your mind, and the mind directs the body. Neglect your mental health, and you will sabotage yourself from within. Silence your thoughts with endless distraction, and your body will follow the decay. Guard your mind like you guard your body. Cut noise, protect silence. If your body is your foundation, your mind is the architect. Together they decide whether the house stands or falls. The truth is simple, but men make it complicated. They chase hacks, shortcuts, secret formulas. They spend money on supplements before they master sleep. They look for miracle workouts before they learn to walk daily. They look for pills before they learn to cook real food. They complicate because complication gives them an excuse. I don't know where to start. Start with what every man already knows. Sleep, movement, food, silence. Master the basics and your foundation becomes unshakable. Ignore them and no advanced trick will save you. Your body is not vanity, it is vessel. When storms come, when work demands, when pain strikes, you need a vessel that can endure. You do not build it for applause. You build it so you can stand when life tests you, and life will test you. Illness, loss, fatigue, the weight of responsibility. Without a strong foundation, you collapse. With it, you endure. Discipline of the body spills into discipline of the soul. A man who controls his body is a man who controls his impulses. A man who masters his foundation is a man who can be trusted. Because strength here is not about size or appearance. It is about command. Command over sleep. Command over hunger. Command over movement. Command over mind. Weakness in the body spreads like rot. A man who cannot control what he eats will struggle to control what he spends. A man who cannot master his rest will struggle to master his temper. A man who neglects his vessel will neglect his mission. It is all connected. Strength in the body does not guarantee strength in everything, but weakness in the body leaks into everything. You do not need perfection. You need respect. Respect for the gift you were given. Respect for the machine that carries you through life. Respect for the limits that, if ignored, will punish you. Respect is the root. Discipline is the fruit. Look at yourself now. Are you treating your body like a weapon to be sharpened, or like a dumpster to be filled? Do you treat your rest as a sacred duty, or do you boast about how little you sleep? Do you move daily, or do you let stillness decay you? Do you eat for strength, or for distraction? These questions are not about shame, they are about reality, and reality does not lie. Every man must decide, do I live as a caretaker of my body, or as a saboteur of it? Do I build it to carry me through decades, or do I burn it out in years? Because your body will last as long as you, treat it well. Abuse it, and you will pay early. Respect it, and it will carry you longer than you imagined. You do not need to chase extremes. You do not need to be carved from stone. You do not need to live in the gym. You need balance, enough rest, enough movement, enough clean fuel, enough silence. These are not optional. They are the cost of endurance. In your youth, you may believe you can cheat this. You can drink without consequence, eat without limit, stay awake without rest. But every man who has lived long enough will tell you, the bill always comes due, and it always costs more than you expected. Build discipline now, before the debt crushes you. A body that is respected becomes an ally. A body that is neglected becomes an enemy. When you treat it well, it rewards you with clarity, energy, focus. When you abuse it, it punishes you with fatigue, illness, distraction. You decide which side of the war you stand on. This is not about fear, it is about power. Power to wake up strong, power to work with focus, power to endure storms, power to build and rebuild, power to stand firm when weaker men fall. That power begins with the body, not for show, for survival, for legacy, for freedom. Cut the excuses, cut the noise, cut the weakness, sleep, move, eat, guard your mind, build your foundation, because without it, nothing else will stand. Money is not everything, but without it, everything becomes harder. The man who says money does not matter has usually never lived without it. The man who says money is everything has usually never lived with meaning. The truth sits between. Money is not the point of life, but it is the structure that allows life to be lived with steadiness. Without it, you live in chains. With it, you live with choice. Men have destroyed themselves chasing money without purpose. They have worked themselves into graves. They have traded their health, their families, their souls for more numbers in a bank account. They believed wealth would bring peace, but when they reached it, they found only emptiness. Others have destroyed themselves by rejecting money, by treating it as corrupt, by pretending they are above it. They live restless, desperate, dependent, and bitter. Both extremes are weakness. The man of balance knows money is not master, but tool. Not the goal, but the guardrail. A man does not need millions to live well. He needs enough to stand steady, enough to live without fear of tomorrow, enough to provide for those he loves, enough to build, to rest, to move without constant worry. Past that, the value of money fades. Studies prove it. Experience proves it. Happiness rises as a man moves from poverty to stability, but past stability, the increase slows. Comfort becomes luxury, and luxury becomes burden. The difference between enough and excess is the difference between freedom and slavery. Enough is not universal. It depends on where you live, what you need, what you value, but every man can calculate his own enough. A roof, food, emergency savings, a margin for life's storms, that is the baseline. For many, that number may be 40,000 a year, adjusted for where they live. For some, a little less. For others, more. The exact number matters less than the principle. Key. Now you're enough. Define it. Aim for it. And when you have it, protect it from endless chasing. Debt is the chain that enslaves men. Not all debt, but most. The kind taken for pleasure, for appearances, for distraction. A car too expensive, a house too large, toys to impress. These chains cut into your freedom. A man in debt is not a free man. His choices are narrowed, his options controlled, his nights restless. Cut debt like you cut poison. Pay it down, refuse to add more, and guard your freedom. The world wants you enslaved to payments forever. Break their grip. Savings is not greed, it is preparation. Emergencies come for every man. A car breaks, a job ends, a storm hits. The man with no savings collapses into panic, into debt, into desperation. The man with savings absorbs the hit and keeps standing. 3 months of expenses is a minimum. 6 is stronger. A year is unbreakable. Do not wait for disaster to teach you this lesson. Build your cushion in silence. Let it protect you when storms come. Spending is reflection. A man's money shows his values. Look at your bank statement. It reveals what matters to you. Do you spend on strength or on weakness, on building or on distraction, on lasting or on fading? Every dollar is a vote for the man you are becoming. Spend like a builder. Spend like a man who values freedom over show. Work is the engine, but it does not need to consume you. The lie of modern life is that you must sacrifice everything for your career, that your worth is tied to your title. But you are not your job. You are not your salary. You are not your business card. Work is a tool to sustain life, not replace it. Do it with discipline, with excellence, but do not become a slave to it. Work to live. Do not live to work. The man who ties his identity to money becomes fragile. When the market shifts, when the job disappears, when wealth is lost, he collapses. But the man who sees money as tool remains steady. He loses, he rebuilds, he wins, he does not boast. His worth is not in the number, but in the strength behind the number. Generosity is part of money without stress, not for show, not for applause. Quiet generosity, the kind that builds others up, the kind that lifts a family, the kind that gives without announcing. Money given with wisdom multiplies strength, but never give at the expense of your foundation. Secure yourself, then give. A drowning man cannot save another, a steady man can. The noise of the world screams for more possessions, more upgrades, more subscriptions, more status symbols. But every more is a weight, every more is a cost. The wise man cuts, he lives lean, he owns less but owns fully. His possessions do not own him. He buys quality once instead of cheap noise many times. He steps out of the race for endless consumption and steps into freedom. Money without stress is not about riches. It is about clarity. It is about knowing what is enough. It is about guarding against debt. It is about saving for storms. It is about working without worshiping work. It is about spending with discipline, giving with wisdom, living with freedom. You will see men richer than you. Do not compare. Their wealth may be a cage. Their abundance may be emptiness. You will see men poorer than you. Do not gloat. Their struggle may be tomorrow's lesson. Measure yourself only against your own enough. If you have it, you are rich. If you are chasing endlessly, you are poor, no matter the number. Freedom is the point. Money is the guard. Build enough, cut chains, live steady. Let others chase excess. Let others drown in luxury. You walk lighter. You walk freer. You walk with money in its rightful place, beneath you, not above you. Because in the end, money is not legacy. Money does not outlive you in spirit. What it leaves behind is structure, stability, a foundation for others. Live so that your money serves your mission, not the other way around. Live with money without stress, quiet, steady, disciplined, and you will live free. There is a law that few men understand until they've wasted years chasing it. The law of diminishing returns. The truth that more is not always better. That after a certain point, the energy you pour in no longer matches the reward you receive. It is the trap of men who cannot stop climbing. Men who confuse perfection with progress. Men who trade their lives for the last 2% of gain. Think of it this way. Going from weak to strong takes effort, but every step shows change. Going from broke to stable feels like freedom, because each dollar means something. Going from chaos to order gives clarity immediately. But push past the middle into the far edge, and the return shrinks. The difference between poor and stable is night and day. The difference between stable and wealthy is comfort. The difference between wealthy and extremely wealthy is almost invisible. Yet men sacrifice everything for that tiny shift. Why? Because they are addicted to chasing. They do not understand the law. They believe the next push will give them the same satisfaction as the first. But the curve bends, the reward fades, and soon they are working harder, sacrificing more, and receiving less in return. This is why so many men reach the top of their field and feel empty. They expected the view to justify the climb. But the climb past a certain point was never worth it. The same law applies to health. If you are sick, every step toward wellness changes your life. Better sleep, cleaner food, daily movement. You feel alive again. But once you reach good health, the difference between 90% and 100% is barely felt. Yet some men punish themselves endlessly for that last margin. They sacrifice joy, relationships, balance, all for the illusion of perfection. And in chasing 10 out of 10, they lose the peace of living at 8. The same law applies to relationships. A man who moves from loneliness to having one strong bond transforms. He is steadier, sharper, more alive. A man who builds 2 or 3 true connections is rich beyond measure. But the man who tries to please everyone, who chases dozens of shallow ties, who seeks to be admired by all, he gains nothing but exhaustion. Because connection is not multiplied endlessly. After a point, it thins. Even in mastery of skills, the law speaks. Learning the basics transforms you. Competence gives freedom. Excellence sets you apart. But perfection costs more than it gives. The hours required to move from skilled to flawless take you away from other pillars of life. And when you arrive, the world rarely notices. What you sacrificed for the last 2 points often outweighs the reward of achieving them. This is not an argument for mediocrity. It is not permission to slack, to quit, to accept weakness. It is a warning against blindness. The blind pursuit of perfection leaves a man broken. The wise pursuit of strength leaves him steady. Know where the curve bends. Know when your effort no longer serves you. Know when to stop climbing the wrong hill. A man at 8 out of 10 lives better than a man obsessed with 10. Because the man at 8 has balance. He has health, purpose, strength, connection, stability. He can endure storms without collapsing. He can enjoy his life without obsessing over details that add nothing. The man at 10 is often brittle. He has poured every ounce of himself into one area while neglecting others. His body may be perfect, but his relationships broken. His wealth may be endless, but his soul hollow. His skills may be unmatched, but his joy absent. The tragedy is that men do not see the curve until it has already cost them. They look back after decades and realize they traded years for marginal gains. They sacrificed freedom for appearances. They worked for recognition that felt hollow. They could have stopped at enough. They could have lived balanced, steady, strong, but they did not, because no one told them that the climb has a ceiling. The law of diminishing returns is not defeat. It is clarity. It frees you from chasing endlessly. It allows you to say, this is enough, this is strong, this is steady. It allows you to focus your energy where it truly multiplies, on the areas where growth still gives reward. It allows you to live in balance instead of burnout. Do not waste your life squeezing water from dry stone. Do not give decades for gains no one feels, not even you. Know when to stop, not because you are weak, but because you are wise. Strength is not endless pushing. Strength is knowing when pushing becomes foolish. The world will not understand. It glorifies excess. It worships perfection. It tells you 10 out of 10 is the only goal. But look closer at those who reach it. Many are broken. Many are empty. Many wish they had stepped off the climb earlier, while they still had balance. Do not wait until you are hollow to learn what they already know. Build yourself to 8. Wrong, steady, balanced. Guard it. Live it daily. Improve where it matters, but do not sacrifice everything for perfection. Because perfection is not freedom. Perfection is another prison. The wise man chooses balance over obsession. The wise man lives longer, steadier, freer, and in the end, that is worth more than the last 2 points. The law of diminishing returns is not an enemy. It is a teacher. Learn it, and you will know when to fight harder and when to step back. Ignore it, and you will burn your life for illusions. Choose wisely, build wisely, live wisely, because in this law lies your freedom. Comparison is poison. It corrodes a man from the inside out. It makes him blind to his own progress, blind to his own strength, blind to the life he has built. It is one of the most subtle forms of slavery because you wear the chains willingly. You hold them in your mind. You tighten them yourself. Every man compares. It begins early. As boys, we measure height, strength, speed. We look at who runs faster, who fights harder, who gets attention. It continues into manhood. Who makes more money? Who drives the better car? Who has the more beautiful woman? Who earns more respect? We believe comparison pushes us forward, but often it drags us into bitterness. It convinces us that no matter what we have, it is not enough. A man can reach every goal he once dreamed of and still feel small when he sees someone else standing higher. He can build wealth but feel poor beside a billionaire. He can have love but feel unworthy when comparing to another man's relationship. He can be strong but feel weak beside someone bigger. Comparison blinds him to his own journey. It steals joy from what he has earned and replaces it with constant restlessness. The truth is this: no two men walk the same road. You are not meant to. You were not given the same starting point. You do not carry the same burdens. You do not chase the same purpose. So why measure yourself against another man's pace, another man's prize? His path is his. Yours is yours. The ground you cover cannot be compared because you are not walking the same terrain. Look back at your own road. There was a time you prayed for what you now take for granted. A time you begged for the strength you now carry daily. But comparison blinds you. It convinces you that progress is nothing, that only perfection matters, that your life is small because someone else's is larger. That blindness robs you of gratitude, and gratitude is the root of peace. The danger of comparison is that it never ends. No matter how high you climb, there is always another man above you. Always another achievement, another possession, another life that looks cleaner, richer, brighter. If you live by comparison, you live as a slave forever. The race has no finish line. You die still running, never satisfied. The man who breaks free from comparison does not stop growing. He still pushes himself. He still builds. He still climbs. But he does it by his own measure. He compares himself only to the man he was yesterday. That is the only fair measure. Did you grow sharper? Did you stand stronger? Did you cut one weakness? Did you rise 1 inch? That is the test of a man. Stop looking sideways. Look backward and forward. Backward, to honor the distance you have already covered. Forward, to see the next stone in front of you. That is enough. That is progress. The world thrives on comparison. Social media is built to trap you in it. Every scroll shows you someone richer, happier, stronger. But remember this: it is a performance, a snapshot, not reality. No man shows his scars in the highlight reel. No man reveals his weakness in the filtered photo. You compare your raw wounds to their polished mask. You compare your whole life to their best 5 seconds. And you lose peace over an illusion. The antidote to comparison is solitude. In silence, the noise fades. In silence, you remember what matters. The man alone in the woods does not measure himself against another. He feels his breath. He feels his body. He feels his life. In solitude, you realize that your value is not relative. It is intrinsic. It does not rise or fall by the measure of others. It simply is. The antidote to comparison is purpose. When a man has his why, he no longer cares about another man's path. A soldier on mission does not stop mid-battle to compare uniforms. A builder laying brick does not pause to envy another man's house. He knows his task. He knows his ground. He knows his reason. Purpose cuts comparison at the root. The antidote to comparison is discipline. A disciplined man does not waste energy looking sideways. He is too busy sharpening himself, too busy building, too busy mastering. He does not measure his worth by applause. He measures it by consistency, by showing up when no one sees, by doing the work in silence, by becoming unshakable in his own rhythm. The man who breaks free from comparison becomes dangerous because he cannot be controlled by envy. He cannot be manipulated by shame. He cannot be baited into weakness. He moves steady, unbothered by others, focused only on his own course. He respects those ahead of him without being diminished by them. He helps those behind him without arrogance. He walks level, grounded, unshaken. Ask yourself, how much of your suffering has come from comparison? How many nights have you wasted thinking about what another man has? How many hours of peace have you traded for envy? How much energy have you burned trying to prove yourself to shadows who do not even notice you? Enough. You owe yourself more. Break the chain. Stop measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel. Stop letting another man's path dictate your peace. Build your own. Define your own. Protect your own. Because the only comparison worth making is with the man in the mirror. Outdo him. Outlast him. Outgrow him. That is victory. Live your 8 out of 10 life. Strong, steady, balanced. It does not matter if another man's number looks higher. Numbers do not show storms weathered, scars carried, demons fought. They do not show what is unseen. And in truth, no one is a 10. Everyone carries battles invisible to the eye. Comparison is a thief. Guard yourself from it. Live in gratitude, in purpose, in discipline. And when you are tempted to measure yourself by another, remember, his life is his, yours is yours. Walk your own road, step by step, in silence, in strength, in freedom. Living an 8 out of 10 life is not about lowering your standards. It is about sharpening them. It is not about settling. It is about knowing when enough is strong, steady, and free. It is about living with discipline, gratitude, and clarity, without the endless hunger that leaves men broken. An 8 out of 10 life is not mediocrity. Mediocrity is drifting, avoiding effort, refusing to grow. An 8 out of 10 life is intentional. It is chosen. It is built with care. It is the steady hand that cuts away what is excessive. It is the refusal to waste energy on illusions. It is the man who knows where to stop, and because he knows where to stop, he never collapses. But the challenge is this. Knowing the principle is not enough. You must live it daily, in small ways, in habits, in the rhythm of your life, because theory does not change you, practice does. So how does a man live his 8 out of 10 life? He begins each day with awareness. He knows what matters and what does not. He sets his energy on the pillars: purpose, relationships, health, finances, and environment. He gives enough to each to keep them strong, not perfect, not neglected, strong. He wakes not chasing the illusion of 10. He does not punish himself for flaws. He does not collapse when storms knock him down. He rises, rebuilds, and continues. Because an 8 out of 10 life is resilient. It bends without breaking. It endures. Discipline is the backbone. Without it, the philosophy dissolves into laziness. 8 out of 10 is not an excuse to slack. It is the strength to say, I will do the work required to be steady. I will move my body daily. I will protect my sleep. I will feed myself with what sustains me. I will put my hands to work with focus. I will cut distractions. I will choose structure over chaos. That is discipline. Gratitude is the guardrail. Without it, 8 out of 10 feels like lack. Key. Gratitude reminds you, this is enough. This is wealth. This is freedom. Gratitude lets you feel rich with what you already have instead of starving for what you do not. Gratitude keeps you grounded in the present. It allows you to look around and say, I am already standing in a life I once prayed for. Adaptability is the weapon. Life will not stay balanced forever. Illness strikes, loss comes, plans collapse. In those moments, the man who lives 10 out of 10 shatters, because perfection cannot bend. But the man who lives 8 out of 10 adapts. He shifts his focus. He protects the essentials. He rides the storm and rebuilds when the ground clears. He does not panic, because he never built his peace on perfection. Living 8 out of 10 daily means cutting noise. It means turning off the endless scroll. It means refusing to measure yourself by another man's pace. It means focusing on what is in front of you, your tasks, your circle, your body, your purpose. Cut the comparison. Cut the distractions. Cut the excuses. It also means allowing yourself moments of silence. You cannot live at 8 out of 10 if your mind is pulled in 1,000 directions. Solitude restores you. Solitude shows you what matters. Solitude strips away the noise and reminds you who you are when the world is not speaking into your ear. Make time for it daily. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, An hour. Sit in it. Breathe in it. Let it harden you. Do not think of this philosophy as static. 8 out of 10 is not a number you hit and freeze at. It is a living rhythm. Some days you will be 7, some days you will be 9. That is fine. The point is not perfection. The point is consistency. Day after day, year after year, you live close to balance. You live steady. That is what builds a life worth holding. And when setbacks come, and they will, you do not collapse. You do not throw everything away because of one fall. You stand, you rebuild, you return to your rhythm. That is how you keep the philosophy alive, not by never failing, but by never quitting. Living this way also means choosing your battles. You cannot fight on all fronts every day. Pick the 1 or 2 areas that need attention and give them focus. Let the others rest at steady strength, then rotate. This keeps you balanced, keeps you sharp, keeps you from burning out. This way of life is quiet. It is not loud. It is not for show. No one will clap for you. No one will post about you. No one may even notice. But you will feel it. You will feel the steadiness in your bones. You will feel the peace in your chest. You will feel the freedom in your choices. That is the reward. At the end of your life, no one will care if you were 10 out of 10. They will not remember your perfection. They will remember your presence. They will remember your steadiness. They will remember how you lived when storms came. They will remember the strength they leaned on. That is legacy. An 8 out of 10 life, lived daily, builds that legacy. It is not glamorous. It is not flashy. But it is real. It is lasting. It is rare. So live this way. Cut the noise. Hold the pillars. Build daily. Protect your gratitude. Guard your discipline. Adapt when storms come. Refuse perfection. Reject comparison. Choose balance. Choose enough. Do this day after day, quietly, steadily, without needing applause, without needing recognition, without needing to prove anything, and you will find yourself living the very thing most men chase but never reach. A life of quality, a life of peace, a life of strength. Not 10 out of 10, not perfection. Something greater, something steadier, something sustainable. An 8 out of 10 life, lived daily, lived honestly, lived fully.